giving me signals. Ah, got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so I'm calling today's talk Freedom to Soar. And there's a little setup to this whole thing. So let me just give you the background behind how I came to this talk. When I meditate, I have a challenge with visualizing things. Sometimes if I go to a guided meditation and they say, imagine a house on a hill and you're walking up the path, I have a very hard time getting that image in my head. I don't know why, it just is a challenge for me. But there are certain images that come to mind often for me. And one of them is that I really like to go into this thinking about imagining what it would feel like to soar like an eagle. Right. When I used to attend Unity of Fort Myers down in Florida, we had hawks that would come to the property all the time. And it just seems so majestic to me, right? To watch them flying and soaring. And it looked like everything was with ease and with grace. And I know there's a lot of physics involved and they know what they're doing. But it just seems like something I would love to experience at some point. Watch out, maybe someday I'll come back as an eagle, who knows? But the other day I was meditating about this and about flying and just had an image of the birds. And you know what came to mind was the book that I read. I'm going to tell my age now. When I was a little girl back in like 1970, 1971, I don't know if any of you have heard of the book Jonathan Livingston Seagull. And it was about a seagull living in a seagull community, not wanting to do what all the other seagulls were doing, right? All of the other seagulls were just kind of standing around and they were foraging for food and they would fly only when they had to. And Jonathan had this obsession with flying and flying as fast as possible. And how can I do it faster? And why isn't this working? And one feather is out of place and I go crashing to the ground. I mean, it was just, it's a crazy book, right? About a bird, right? He had this undeniable urge to fly faster and faster. And at times he would feel so ostracized from the rest of the group that he would vow to himself, okay, I'm just going to be normal. I'm just going to live a normal life. Have you ever done that? Have you ever thought to yourself, all right, I'm going to minimize who and what I am so I can fit in better? Because that'll make me feel better, right? If I can fit in. And usually that doesn't work, right? It suppresses what you really are meant to do, and you don't really fit in anyway, right? So Jonathan tries to vow to live a normal life, and then suddenly, moments later, he completely forgets the vows because he gets a new idea about how he might be able to fix the problem and fly faster, right? So he goes right off to his dreams again. And it was just, let me say it this way. I certainly, at the age of 10, did not appreciate this book the way I appreciate it now at the age of almost 62. Okay. There are so many unity principles in this book that I was shocked. What happened when I went out for my graduation, getting my master's degree and going through the ordination process, I went to the Unity Village bookstore, and they have a very small selection of books now. It's more of a coffee shop. One of the books on the shelf was Jonathan Livingston Seagull. And I thought, this is a sign, I better buy it, right? So I did. And I reread the book and I saw unity almost on every single page of that book. Jonathan Livingston Seagull was able to find his power and his joy and beauty in the speed he was trying to achieve. I'm not going to ruin the book for you and tell you about how the whole thing goes. It's a very short read. If you're ever interested someday, go to your library or whatever, pick it up and check it out. But I was shocked by how much unity was in the book. And I thought, I have to share this with someone. So Unity Radiant Light gets the lucky draw, right? At one point, Jonathan is, doing his own thing and he's trying to strive for all of the speed, and he's brought to stand in the center of the community. And you're only brought there for two reasons. One is for glory and praise, and the other reason is for shame. And when he was called to the center, he thought he was being called to praise him for how fast he was learning how to fly. And he was actually brought there to be shamed, because they didn't want anybody in the community that was trying to think outside the box, right? He spent the rest of his days alone, but he wasn't sad. He spent his days going faster and faster until the next part of the book, which I'm not going to go into. You'll have to check it out yourself. But the other seagulls in his community refused to open their eyes and see that the glory of flying was within each of them, that they could have done the same thing, but they didn't want to know about it. They just wanted him to conform. Have you ever been there? Have you ever been in a group of people that just wanted you to go with the flow? Don't rock the boat. Don't, let's not get crazy here. Let's just do what we've always done, right? Here's the thing. We're living in a very, very challenging world right now. We have been living in a very, very challenging world for years. It's been at least 2.5, if not longer, right? And it doesn't seem like there's an end in sight. So how do I take the Unity teachings? How do I take the story in Jonathan Livingston Seagull? How do I make it my own to give myself some hope and some permission to fly and soar when all of this crap is going on, appears to be going on in the world around me, right? I'm here to say to you today that it is okay to have a purpose and a mission and to strive to fly higher and higher and higher, no matter what society is telling you. Jonathan Livingston Seagull was about changing the level of consciousness, and he did it pretty abruptly. Like he just, once he got it, he got it. Have you ever had a lesson like that? Right? You're sitting in a Unity class and Reverend Cherie has said the same thing 15, 20 times over, and you hear it that 21st time. And it's like, oh, that's what she means, right? We're all like that. Or if you read a book and you read it repetitively and you read it over and over and over again, and then all of a sudden, like you've been, in your 15th time around of reading it, and you open it up and you go, I never saw that sentence before. Now it's always been there, right? But when we're ready, we're ready. What is the phrase? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Guess what? When the teacher is ready, the student will appear. And we're all both. We're all truth students. In my name, it says on the screen there, Reverend Kathleen, KK, I do go by KK, Kerswig. I invite you all to call me Kathleen. I don't need to have the Reverend in front of it. I have earned it, and I will use it in the proper way. I want you to know who I am here in this venue, but really, I'm Kathleen, okay? That's who I am, because we're all both students and teachers, whether we recognize it or not. Jonathan Livingston Seagull was different, right? He chose his own path. He followed his inner guidance. He didn't just go along. He tried desperately to go along with what they wanted him to do. His parents were frustrated, right? I can relate to that part, right? But he couldn't do it. He had to listen to that inner voice. And that's what we talk about in unity all the time. There is an inner voice within us all that guides us if we allow it, if we stay open to it. Sometimes it guides us in like weird directions. Like sometimes that inner voice says, you need to go to Unity Ministerial School. And you go, no. And you fight it and you fight it and you fight it. And it doesn't matter because it's not going away. And so you sign up for ministerial school, right? Or you sign up to become a licensed Unity teacher. Or you sign up to volunteer at a community, maybe a shelter to help people in need. Whatever that inner voice is telling you, that's what you follow. That's what you do, regardless of what the family thinks, regardless of what the community thinks, right? They don't have to approve. I have to follow that voice. I have learned that my life goes much smoother when I listen, right? So my question for you today is, do you have a mission? Do you have a vision of what you would like to see the world look like? And the reason I'm asking you this is because in these times that we are living in now, it is very understandable and easy to fall into that thinking of, what difference does it make if I try to do something good? Because look at everything that's going wrong around me. Right? Very easy to think that way. And I'm going to encourage you, come back. Don't entertain those thoughts. Because any little bit of good we do is helpful to someone. Right? If I help one person today, my job is done. Now I could sit here and there's 12 of us all signed on here and there might be 1 or 2 people in the room with you, whatever. But in this group of people, I might sit here and obsess about, I've got to reach every single person. And if I focus on that, then nobody's going to get anything out of my talk because I'm going to be too much in my head. I don't want to be in my head. I want to be here and share with you some of the thoughts that have come to me recently, not so recently, right? We can try to follow the status quo, maybe sit and feeling bad about the direction that things are going in right now, or we could try to do something different. The world needs us. Members of our family need us, and they need us when we are on top of our game, right? My father recently passed away a little over a month ago. My brother is very ill, and I don't know what's going to happen with him. Everything is up in the air about the house that they all live in, that my dad lived in, and now my brother and my daughter live in. Everything is up in the air. And it would be very easy for me to say to you, gosh, I can't even think straight. And there are moments when I can, I assure you of this. But I have a very strong daily practice now, and I'm using it more and more. And the reason I'm using that daily practice is because I need to be on top of my game for my family. And we're going to work together and we're going to walk through this together. Right now, that's my mission, is to help them. But the other side of my mission, part of my actual ministry mission, is to help people create joy and discover freedom. Right? So this talk really fits into that. We all do have the potential for freedom. Some of us are fighting more obstacles than others, right? So it's not going to be the same for everybody. And that's okay. That's okay. But we're here to help each other. As a community, Unity Radiant Light is one of those tools that you can use. You can reach out to each other and you can hold each other up, because not everybody's going to be strong every single day, and not everybody's going to be strong at the same time, right? Thank goodness we're not all feeling defeated at the same time. We need some people to feel uplifted and get ready to share that with each other. I want to share a quote with you from John Lewis. Some of you may have heard of him, Representative John Lewis. He passed away 2 years ago, maybe. Very active in the civil rights movement for many, many years. And when I heard this quote, it struck me in a new way. I heard this quote before he passed, and I never really paid much attention to it. But after he passed, I must have come across it somewhere. I must have read it somewhere, and it struck a chord with me, and I want to share it with you now. Do not get lost in a sea of despair. Do not become bitter or hostile. Be hopeful. Be optimistic. Never, ever be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble, necessary trouble. We will find a way to make a way out of no way. I'm going to say that last sentence again because it's powerful. We will find a way to make a way out of no way. I was never in the situation that he was in, right? And he was fighting for civil rights all of his life. He dedicated himself to getting into what he called good trouble, necessary trouble, right? Maybe that will spark someone's imagination here today. Maybe that will get you thinking about something that you've been thinking about in the past that you really wanted to do. Maybe it'll prompt you to just help somewhere, somehow, some way, right? We do have the freedom to soar. We do. The first step is recognizing that we actually have the freedom to soar. You get that? Because if we don't believe that we have that freedom, then any ideas that come to us are really just kind of they'll fizzle away because we won't believe in it enough. We won't believe in ourselves enough. And I promise you that each and every one of you who are here today, you have all of the resources. I know it. I can see it in your eyes. I know it in just the fact that we are all connected with that one power in the universe, God, that keeps us going, right? That God energy is within each and every one of us, whether you show it or not, whether you acknowledge it or not. You get that? So when you're reading social media, when you're dealing with the difficult relatives at a barbecue this summer, when you're dealing with difficult people at work, remember that that God energy that you may not be seeing in someone, it's still there in them. When I come from that perspective, when I look at someone who I might be struggling with and I say, oh yeah, the Christ presence within me acknowledges the Christ presence within you. You can say God energy, whatever you want to say, God mind, God, whatever. Right? When I say that, I remind myself that we're all the same. We're all connected, no matter what I'm seeing on a human level. And then I could move forward and look for more good trouble. And I'm hoping that some of you will look for that this week and beyond. Namaste, my friends. Thank you. And now, If you'll join me in just saying our affirmation to take into our hearts, meditation together. I am open and receptive to the spirit of truth, healing in me what needs to be healed and revealing to me what needs to be revealed. Whatever was revealed to you today, may you feel it in your hearts. And so it is. Amen.